Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Emma's actually still out of town right now. Hope you don't mind, but I wanted to talk about Turning Red, the latest Disney and Pixar movie. It follows 13-year-old Maylin Lee growing up in the early 2000s in Toronto, Canada. May's a pretty average girl, she likes boy bands and has hobbies, but things get complicated when one day she wakes up to find she's transformed into a giant red panda. This apparently happens whenever she's in a heightened emotional state, so any kind of emotion, whether it's positive or negative, will trigger this transformation. Her mother wants to perform an ancient ritual to banish the panda away. She even wants to lock her away until the ritual can be completed, but May actually finds that she likes the panda and wants to keep it, which leads to the main conflict in the movie. It's another smaller story like Luca was, about kids being kids with a magical twist to it. Unfortunately for the company, Turning Red does not seem to be performing well. According to Google, it's only made $4 million at the box office. Some speculate this could be because it's a Disney Plus exclusive, although Soul was also a Disney Plus exclusive and that did pretty well. Maybe it's because it's a smaller story. Luca is currently Pixar's lowest grossing film, making less than $50 million, and with the way Turning Red is going, it's probably going to take its place. Maybe people have come to expect something else from Pixar. It could be a lot of things really, although based on the general consensus, it seems like people do take issue with the story, or at least certain aspects of it. When I was looking up the numbers on Google, one of the first questions was, is Turning Red appropriate? It turns out parents are concerned about the content of the film, which deals very heavily with things like puberty and teenage rebellion. The crew behind the film explained that the transformation into the panda is a metaphor for puberty, both in a broader sense but also specifically referring to periods, and the title Turning Red is also alluding to that. This coupled with May coming into direct conflict with her mother seems to have scared off parents. But are parents overreacting, or did Turning Red leave a lot to be desired when talking about these more sensitive subjects? Just a heads up, we're going to be spoiling this movie, so if you are still interested in seeing Turning Red, you might want to check it out first. But if you've already seen the film or are interested in seeing what the content is all about, then feel free to keep watching. First of all, when it comes to the film, they are very blatant about the subject matter, which was done on purpose, claiming that they were trying to normalize it by making it cringy and funny. I want to preface this by saying that if you did find Turning Red empowering at all, then that's great, more power to you. But I want to explain why I personally took issue with the way things were handled in this film. I'm not against puberty and periods being discussed in media, but I do wish that they'd use a little more tact in this case. First of all, maybe making the panda tied so directly with puberty and periods wasn't the best idea. The panda actually has some pretty interesting lore on its own, and I do wish they'd leaned into that more. The backstory is that long ago in the Lee family's ancestral home, there was a war, so all the men went off to fight, but the village was in jeopardy because of bandits, so May's ancestor asked the gods for help, and they gave her the red panda form so she could fight off the bandits. But as the years passed and the war ended, the panda lost its purpose. So instead, May ends up exploiting it at school, charging people money to take pictures and films with her in her panda form. But since the panda is a metaphor for periods, it comes off as kinda weird. Like she was the first girl in class to get her period and now she's charging people to see it. They probably should have thought this through more. I know they wanted to talk about periods specifically, but there were better ways to handle it. It's not just the awkward implications of using the panda for money. Puberty is already a pretty awkward topic, but they make it a lot weirder than it needs to be. Like when May first transforms, she's understandably freaking out and upset about it. She hides in the bathroom and tries to transform back into her normal form before anyone finds out, but because of the way she's acting, her mother mistakes it for her period starting, which is understandable on its own. The problem is the mother acts extremely obtuse about everything. I know they say they wanted to be cringy and funny, but they made the mom so unreasonable that it was really hard to take her seriously, and made the conversation a lot less productive than it could have been. Like I said, she mistakes the red panda for May starting her period, but she also thinks she forgot to take pads with her to school, so she shows up to the school and sneaks around outside her classroom, acting really shady and conspicuous. First of all, period products are available at schools, but secondly, there's no reason for her to go to the window. She can just go to the main office, tell them that her daughter forgot something at home, and then give it to her when they call her to the office. Even the security guard tells her to go to the main office when she explains that she's the mother of a student, but instead she insists on staying, causing a scene and humiliating her daughter in front of her entire class. And this isn't the only time the mom acts ridiculous in the movie. I know they want her to be one of those overbearing and overprotective mothers, but normally there's some kind of internal logic that you can follow with their actions. But here it's more like she's going out of her way to humiliate her daughter for no real reason, ignoring obvious solutions to cause scenes. Like the day prior to this incident, the mom also humiliates May, which is also what triggered created the panda to begin with. May has a crush on the store clerk at the convenience store, so she draws a lot of cringy art of them together. Her mom sees these and gets so upset that she drags May to the convenience store and confronts the clerk. May is 13 and the clerk is 17, so I think it's reasonable for her to be a little concerned, especially since she's assuming that they're actually dating. But she's also jumping to conclusions without getting the full story, and then takes things way too far. First of all, she makes a scene in front of the entire store, and May's school bully happens to be there, but she really crosses the line when she gives him the drawings. So the entire mart laughs at her and bullies her, and like I said, she left the drawings with them, so the bully plasters them all over the school and spread rumors about her. In the mom's attempt to protect her daughter, she ended up inviting people to openly harass and bully her, and she seems to be completely oblivious to it, despite the fact that they are literally laughing at her right in front of her face. How can anyone be this ignorant? If the goal of the film was to normalize and embrace female puberty, why did they make a spectacle out of it? Is that really productive? I just wish they'd handled this topic in a more mature way. As for the movie's message about teenage rebellion, the movie actually opens with May talking about how their family puts a lot of emphasis on respecting your parents. At the beginning of the movie, she talks a lot about how she's her own person who does whatever she wants whenever she wants, but she totally drops that attitude whenever her mom is actually around. She does nothing to confront her mother after she humiliated her at the convenience store, and actually puts the blame on herself for drawing that stuff in the first place, saying she was wrong to disappoint her mother like that. Same with the pad incident at school, but as the concert they want to go to gets closer and closer, that kinda changes. She and her friends scheme to sneak out so they can go see it, and she even goes as far as to tell her mom that she joined an after-school program, but what she's really doing is selling pictures and merchandise of herself. But then it turns out the concert is on the same night as the ritual to banish the panda, and she ends up ditching the ritual so she can go to the concert with her friends, ultimately deciding to keep the panda. So she does rebel quite a bit. To be fair, this isn't too uncommon for children's media, where kids lie or go behind their parents' back, sometimes even going to other worlds without them knowing. So it's not exactly out there for this movie to do something similar, but things do escalate. Her mom accidentally breaks her talisman, which releases her own red panda, and for some reason she's the size of a kaiju. I don't think they ever explained that. Anyway, she ends up destroying the concert venue, and has a huge blowout with May, and May purposely does stuff to upset her, including twerking a lot, which actually was very uncomfortable. I feel like all this could have been avoided if they had just talked to each other beforehand. A little communication can go a long way, but instead things just kept escalating, and now they're having a fight in the Sky Dome. Then May accidentally knocks her mother unconscious, but they're finally able to get the ritual going. They get transported to some kind of spirit world, where May is finally able to talk to her mother heart to heart. She appears as a 13-year-old herself, and she tells May about how she accidentally hurt her own mother when she transformed into the panda and attacked her, leaving her scarred. But her mother was putting so much pressure on her to constantly be perfect, and she felt she'd never be good enough for her, which caused her to lash out. So basically this is a problem that stems across generations, and now she's making the same mistakes with her daughter that her mother made with her. So it's an unfortunate cycle, and I'm sure the crew tried their hardest to shed light on this, but I can't really get past the execution. On the one hand, the movie does have good moments, but I also don't appreciate how they chose to handle these more sensitive topics. I'm honestly not sure how successful they actually were when it comes to destigmatizing female puberty, especially given the numbers. I can't help but feel they just made a spectacle out of it. Parents and families are going to have to decide for themselves if it's something that they think that their kids should watch. Admittedly, I don't think you're missing much by skipping this one. I'm sure there are people who appreciated the way this film tackled the subject matter, and those opinions are definitely valid. Like I said, this is just my opinion. What did you think of Turning Red? Feel free to share in the comments below. Thanks for watching, it's appreciated. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to our members: Stutania, Tyrant Carnivore, Adam K, Shiny Orc Boy, The Rabbit Mancer, Hunter Rose, General Bolivar, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Sandy Martin, Verdant Range, Butcher7 Actual, Dash Hound, JVR, Hussyman42, Nixel, Eric Griffin, Phantom of the Night, Phil C, Taylor Ramirez, Caleb Nelson, Shrike Z, and Bandito Bane. Thanks so much for your support. If you'd like to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way, or you can leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel. Those are free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.